Hello everyone and welcome to my first YouTube video. I'm so excited to start this new journey. I'm really ready to just share my knowledge and share some of my experiences and hopefully help some of you with your spiritual journeys as well. This video is about some of my top realizations that have helped me with my spiritual journey that I wish someone would have told me earlier. Hopefully you can resonate with something in this video and it'll help you in some way, shape, or form. But let's get right into it. I want to go ahead and say this and clarify, spirituality has nothing to do with any other religion. Spirituality is its own little thing. You can be religious and be spiritual as well, but spirituality has no tie to another religion. You don't have to be any sort of religion or anything to be spiritual. Thank you. So one of the biggest realizations I've had was that I am a soul having a human experience on earth. I am not me, I guess, but I am a soul experiencing me, like the physical human body that I'm in right now. Joe Kolzer is a spiritual psychologist who says that most people actually think the opposite. They think that they are a human having a human experience who have to find some spiritual or like soul inside of them, like they're soul seeking or searching or thriving towards being spiritual. And that's simply not true because we are spiritual already. We were born spiritual, we were born a soul. I don't want to say we were born spiritual, but we were born with a soul, and we don't have to search for any sort of soul. We've been that way since birth, since forever. We've always been a soul. It helped me separated my thoughts from my actual self, or my higher self, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But I read this book, and it's called The Voice of Knowledge. It's by Ruiz. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but it's about Toltec tradition. And it's a practical guide to inner peace, and I really recommend this. So let me say this. We are domesticated and I guess conditioned in a sense by society, by our family members, by teachers, by our friends, into thinking that we aren't enough. Society may say, or put, I guess, especially with like beauty standards, put things in our mind that don't even make any sense. Reasons for us to hate ourselves or to detach from who we are, try to, I guess, distance us from being our true and authentic selves. So this book by Ruiz Jr. is called The Mastery of Self-Love, and it's basically like a self-love, breaking down maybe what happened in your past that's making you think this way, or like the domestications, I guess. And you see, I have a whole bunch of notes in this. It's really, really good. I haven't finished this one yet either, but I recommend buying this from Barnes & Noble. It has helped me so much about realizing my worth and why I think the way that I do, or why society has caused me to think the way that I do. And so I would recommend getting this book from Barnes & Noble's and reading it. No ad, I'm just suggesting books. I will link it down below. So the second realization I had, I was actually reading this book that I just mentioned before, and it basically just said that the soul has unconditional love. The soul is joy, the soul is happiness, all the good adjectives you can think of. Our soul is that. Our soul does not hate. We are all a part of the divine. Some may say God, some may say higher self, someone may say universe, but we are all one. And when you realize that, for me, it really helped with my compassion towards others, and it helped me create a stronger sense of love and understanding for other people that I didn't have before. And so when you realize that we're all one, then you're like, okay, well, if we're all trying our best on earth, then why should I be mean to other people? Why should I be rude or disrespectful? Why should I try to projecting? I'll talk about projecting in another video because that's a whole other thing. But I guess you're more hyper aware of how you interact with the environment. If you're leaving the lights on, or if you're killing bugs, if you're stepping on bugs, it helps you be more mindful about that in a sense. It helps you be more mindful about how you interact with other people on a daily basis. We're all trying our best on earth just to live and exist. Really just helped me connect with everything and anything. Also, I want to mention this amazing analogy. It's by Venerable Tridao. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he's a Vietnamese Theravada Buddhist, and he made this comparison between going on vacation and living on Earth. And I thought it was so cool. So basically he said that when you go on vacation, of course you want to, have fun, you want to be in the moment. You want to, not argue, not fight with anybody, because who wants to fight on vacation? That's just going to ruin the entire mood of the entire vacation. When you're on Earth, you're here for a limited time. You're not living here forever. You have to eventually die. All things eventually die. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just saying it how it is. You're going to die one day. And so why would you want to be on Earth to fight, to argue, to kill? Why would you want to be on Earth to cause mayhem or lower the vibrations of Earth, which we're going to talk about later? But I thought it was a great analogy. I thought it was really helpful, especially with understanding that we need to be nicer to one another and to other organisms and be more mindful about how we interact with other people. I remember when I was in middle school or maybe a freshman in high school, I used to be mean. I used to be somewhat of a bully. I used to get bullied in middle school, and that's probably why I became a bully. And I also had stuff going on at home. And so I would project and I would put that onto others because I didn't really know how to regulate my emotions. And I needed someone to be a scapegoat. And sometimes I would make fun of people. And I guess when I started my spiritual journey, maybe 2 years ago, after my freshman year, I stopped gossiping. I do indulge in celebrity gossip. I should not really do that, but I do. But I don't do any local gossip at all. I haven't written a hate comment on the internet. I haven't said anything mean or bad about anybody else's appearance, nothing like that. I stop my friends whenever they call someone ugly or call them names. The universe mirrors whatever you put out into it. And if you're going to get hate, if you're going to give out hate, then you're going to receive hate. So you really just need to be more self-aware and more cautious about how you affect other people and be compassionate about any and everybody, even if you don't agree with that person, whether or not you and that person had some beef in the past. You still need to be compassionate to them. If they treated you really, 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 really bad, I suggest just getting away from them. Don't interact with them because your energy is valuable. And when you realize that your energy is worth more than you think it is, then you'll use the energy for yourself and not necessarily put it back or give it back to others who don't really deserve it. And I'll talk about that in another video if you guys want. Moving on to mental health and self-love. I'm still going on my self-love journey. I feel like no one ever really stops their self-love journey. I feel like it's a continuous thing no matter what age you are. But one of the realizations is that self-discipline is the most important thing on your self-love journey. I remember I struggled for maybe a year or at least 6 months with being consistent with myself and not going back to exes or not going back to negative situations that I had in the past. And that was really difficult for me. I remember I had a really bad attention-seeking problem. I would always search for outside validation, and I suffered with that for years. Even now, I still do it. But it stemmed from my childhood, and if you know that you have some sort of childhood problems and childhood trauma, go and either get therapy if you can afford it, or I suggest following therapists on TikTok or therapists on Instagram. I'll link some of my favorites down below. Also, I want to say the biggest thing for me that has really helped me on my self-care journey, my spiritual journey, was isolating myself from other people. If you do struggle with being alone and you absolutely cannot be alone, you need to look into that first and foremost, because that's a sign that you need to work on something. But also, if isolating yourself is too much, then I suggest you having just a small, intimate group of friends that you can trust, family members you can trust, somebody who you can trust and that aren't bad for you in a sense. I don't want to say bad, but they're not the best people for you. You know who's good for you and who's not good for you. And so just section out the people who you know aren't good for you. That doesn't mean isolating yourself does not mean not being friends with them anymore. It's taking a break. You need to give yourself that break so you can have time to be alone, time to feel all your emotions, time to cry and really think about what messed up stuff you went through or that you're going through that you're ignoring in a sense. I remember another important thing that has really helped me was getting off social media. As a woman, especially a Black woman on social media, my mental health was absolutely terrible. I would look at, Black women or women in general who had Eurocentric features, the small noses, you know what I'm talking about, the straight hair, the 3C, 3B hair. I would get so torn down. I would cry. I remember I cried one night about this guy calling me ugly, saying my eyebrows were too thin. I really let things get to me. You know, it's just hard, especially being on social media and being constantly told that you're ugly, or like people posting about, ooh, I like girls with the fat. It's like, okay, I don't have that. So I would always get self-conscious about that. So when I got off social media, I was emotional. I was a wreck. I didn't know how to cope for the first couple of days. I was like, yes, I'm going to get off social media. I'm going to get off there for the entire summer. I'm not going to talk to nobody. I'm going to just focus on me. And that blew up all in my face. That blew up in my face. And I did not mentally prepare myself for that. And I feel like if you have a plan, it's going to be a lot better with your spiritual journey. But if you're just going into it with not knowing nothing, good luck to you. But I mean, I did it and I'm here right now. So kudos. You're going to have a lot of free time too, especially if you're giving up social media or giving up being on your phone a lot, or giving up hanging with, you know, maybe your best friend that isn't so good for you. It's going to be hard. And one of the things that really helps with that is journaling. And I have a journal right here. This is what I'm reading my notes off of too. And I absolutely love my journal. I write in it whenever I'm feeling such very, 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 very strong emotions, especially when I'm really angry or upset with someone and I need time to think before I speak. You have to find some way to cope with all the feelings that you're going to feel. Some days you might feel angry. Some days you might be super duper elated, the most happy you've ever felt in your life. Some days you may feel extremely lonely and depressed, like you don't want to get out the bed, that you feel like everything's just collapsing on you. And it's going to be hard. I also want to mention that when you do feel like you want to fall back on whatever you did, maybe you're not doing so well in a self-discipline, maybe you want to get back on social media, and you have those cravings, that's when you really, 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 really need to journal or meditate or something. Relapsing on something that you worked hard not to do for like weeks or days, it's hard. And you need to have a space where you can just not think about it, especially having hobbies. Hobbies is so important. I did not have any hobbies. Like I said earlier, I was constantly seeking attention. My only hobbies were talking to dudes online and getting compliments and being on TikTok, being on Instagram, being on social media. It was really bad. And so when you have hobbies, I started rainbow looming, if you guys can see. But I started rainbow looming, I started journaling, I started reading more, I started doing more physical activities, I started cooking. That was short-lived, but you know, hobbies, anything to keep you distracted from relapsing or going back to old ways. It's really important to find some sort of hobby. Things to do when you're bored, and here's a beautiful list. Make a list of all the things that you like, maybe hobbies that you did as a child. Another thing that has really helped me heal is searching up things that have happened in my past, especially with things with my family. Like my dad passed away a while ago, and so I looked up like daddy issues and I did like a whole report on it, and I listened to a whole bunch of similar situations, a whole bunch of Black women who also had their dad pass away or their absent father. And there's a whole community on Reddit, on Quora that have experienced the same things that you have or similar situations, and they give some good advice too. If I'm being honest, they're giving some good advice, and you should probably listen to their advice, because some of them actually went to therapists and they got feedback from the therapist and they're sharing it with other people, and I feel like that's a really helpful resource for you, especially in my romantic relationships. I know that I used to have like a jealousy problem real bad. I searched up jealousy in relationships in Reddit and on YouTube, and I watched videos and I read stories of other people, and it was just amazing. It was so enlightening. I took notes on it too. It was freaking amazing. Also, books will help you so much. Don't forget books. But yeah, finding people who went through similar things as you will also help you not feel alone, but also give you some guidance. And that's really helpful. So I know I mentioned journals earlier, but I just want to mention them one more time. Journals are so freaking beautiful. I have journaled for almost, I don't want to say every little thing, but I have journaled so much and it has helped me so much. And I can do a video or link something in the description below about journaling. I would recommend doing inner child work, because inner child work it connects you with your younger self. Like my bracelet, I love making these little rainbow balloon bracelets. It really helps my inner child. I love coloring. I love puzzles. Just be open. Just be open to any and everything, because you may find things that you never thought you would like that you would absolutely love. And so always be open-minded when you try new hobbies. This is the time for you to connect with yourself. Hobbies really helped me with my spiritual journey, especially watching YouTube videos. I love watching YouTube videos, especially self-help ones. That was one of my favorite hobbies. I would just sit down and look at Hitomi or Trinity, and I would just write. I would just journal, and it was just so beautiful and enlightening. I love meditation as well. Meditation is freaking amazing. It's the best thing that I've ever learned, honestly. I feel like most people think that meditation is just sitting and being still and breathing. And yes, that is a form of meditation, but I feel like people think that meditation is just this one thing when it's really not. Meditation is anything that relaxes you and heightens your self-awareness and staying present in the moment. And so this could be anything. This could be sitting meditation where you just breathe. This could be visualization. This could be movement. This could be anything really. Whatever relaxes you, whatever brings you to the present moment. And I also love dance meditation. I love putting on SZA or Erykah Badu, Summer Walker, anybody, and I just dance to it. It's just so refreshing. I love breathing in the air as I'm like swaying. I love doing anything really where I'm just like moving and connecting with my body. It just feels so amazing. I also want to bring up the fact that there are guided meditations that you can do on YouTube, especially for, you can search it up for like anything really. You can search up guided meditation for stress, guided meditation for loneliness, depression, anything really, and there's going to be a guided meditation for it. And I started that in the beginning of my spiritual journey, and it really helped me. So now I can just like sit and just breathe by myself without a calming woman speaking in my ear. There's no wrong or right way to meditate. Any way to meditate is the perfect way. So everything on this earth vibrates. The universe is always in motion, so we're all vibrating at different frequencies. And so there's positive frequencies, there's also negative frequencies, and positive thought patterns will give out positive energy, a positive frequency. Negative thought patterns, negative reactions will emit negative energy, so always be mindful about what energy you're emitting and what energy you want back. What you give to the universe is what you're going to get back. The universe is a mirror, and it's always reflecting, what you're giving out. Final thing I want to say is that do not try to force anyone to be spiritual if they don't want to. Or I don't want to say be spiritual, because we're always, souls, but be spiritual if they don't want to. Some people don't want to be spiritual. Some people aren't open-minded enough. I don't want to say open-minded enough, but some people aren't willing to change, I guess, their viewpoints or their thoughts, and you can't do anything about that, Everybody's journey is their own journey, so don't try to force someone to be something that they don't want to be. There's free will in the universe, so don't force anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. Force anybody to be what you want them to be. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you learned something from this. I hope that you resonated with at least one thing that I said. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, thank you.